What's up, everybody? My name is Tony Hope, and you're listening to the Hear Me Roar podcast, a sports show where I run my mouth about all things sports. And today, I am back with my co-host, Noble Lewis, and we are here bringing y'all another iteration of the Hear Me Roar podcast. And if you're not familiar with my voice, you better get used to it because I am the future of sports media. Happy 404 day to all of my Atlanta natives, all of my Atlanta longtime residents. This is a very, very special day for us. It's one of the best cities to have grown up in during the time period. If you are around for the good times, whether you were here for the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, even the early 2010s, all great times to be a part of the Atlanta city culture. We offer so much stuff to the sports world, entertainment, movies, fashion, everything, man. We're a hotbed for the arts, a hotbed for Black people. And I love my city. It's sometimes a little questionable on how the direction of the city is going, but that's not going to change my love for it. I would never have wanted to live somewhere else. I lived all over the city, from Clayton County to the east side, to the west side, upper west side, downtown. Hey, man, I've been all over the place, and I love my experience all 21 years being here. 21 years being here. So happy 404 day to all my people. We have some good topics to bring to y'all today. Biggest of which being blockbuster NFL trade. A certain someone is no longer a member of the Buffalo Bills and is now on the Houston Texans. We'll get into that. Of course, NBA basketball. We have about 7 games left in the NBA season, and the playoff race is close. Some big updates as far as injuries for players coming back, players being out for the rest of the year, struggling play by stars, emerging play, surprise seedings. We got a lot to talk about with that. And then we're going to cap off this episode with a little bit of throwback talk as far as the UFC is concerned. Ronda Rousey came out and did an interview earlier this week and made some very disappointing but not surprising comments about her loss to Holly Holm at UFC 193. We'll get into that and how we feel about the BS that she was talking about on during that interview. So before we get started, always like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, share it with your people, give us a rating on Spotify, give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. We love the support. Big things coming. And of course, feedback. See our social media handles on the screen. Hit us up. Let us know what you would like to see more of, what you would like to see less of. Opinions. I love to hear y'all opinions on stuff. That's why I'll be posting certain clips from the podcast show onto my story. So does Noble. We love to hear y'all's opinions. I like to be challenged on things. I like to be told a different perspective. This is your perfect chance to do so. There's not too many shows where you can interact directly with the host. So please hit us up on Instagram and give us some of your opinions on what we're talking about. We will love to, even and if it's good enough and we have some good discussions, we would love to bring you on. But without any further ado, let's get right into this episode. I was going to go straight into the trade between the Bills and the Texans, but let's just take a quick trip around the sports world real quick. Take a quick trip. The Hawks, 10 seed, we're pretty much going to solidify that 10 seed. The Nets are behind us in the 11th seed, and they're not touching us. We just won against the Pistons the other night, but Malachi Flynn dropping 50 on our heads. It's a very odd 50 ball, but this isn't something we haven't seen before. We've seen Corey Brewer drop 50 points in a game. We have seen
I got one sleeper. People don't remember. Sadiq Bey dropped a 50 ball.
Yeah, Sadiq Bey when he was with the Pistons. Mo Williams dropped a 50 ball before. You're in the NBA. I mean, this is like rookie, you can any given night, one of these guys can go off for a good little 50 burger. So we won the game, so I don't care. We lost to the Pistons and let that man drop 50. You know what I'm saying? That would have been a little just a perfect capstone to our season. But I think that's even perfect symbolism for how this Piston season has gone. Why is Malachi Flynn dropping 50 points? It's insane. But Vince Carter and Chauncey Billups, they're getting inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame. So congratulations to them. Chauncey Billups, of course, being the leader of that Detroit Pistons team that upset the Los Angeles Lakers in 2004 finals. That Pistons team back then was a very, 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 very good, tough, all around great team from especially defensively. But and I say Chauncey Billups was the leader of that team, but in reality, there wasn't any, bona fide leader. They all held each other accountable. They were all perfect pieces to fit each other.
Yeah, and the timing on that that championship run was also very well. As I said, a lot of things have to go right to win a championship, because that team wouldn't have won in probably any other era, but it worked out for that era especially.
I mean, I want to say that they still went and challenged the was it the Spurs in the finals, and I mean, shit, they gave LeBron and the Cavs some problems in 2007. Like, they had a good 3-4, damn near 5-year stretch where they were championship contenders.
Absolutely, I'm not trying to downplay them. I was just like the spacing and things of that sort of that team. It definitely wouldn't work today, but they were definitely defensively. I mean, it's part of the time, just the time that they were in. That defensively, they were the best team in the league for a couple years straight. So that's no small feat. But yeah, congratulations to them.
And of course, Vince Carter, one of the most electrifying players, athletes, period, honestly. And his highlight reel is just an hour long, talking about dunking over 7-footers, the amount of in-game dunks he performed, a slam dunk champion, his 20-year long career, his ability to change the way he played the game, going from straight athleticism and being the number one scorer for a multitude of teams, from the Raptors, of course, that was his best days, and then even transitioning to the Nets, playing with Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson, and the company. He was able to mold his game to fit the ever-changing NBA during the time. He got his jump shot down to a science, to where his three-pointer was what kept him in the league in his older age. Played with the Hawks, Memphis, the Kings, the Suns, the Magic, the Raptors, the Nets. This is for anybody that plays the Immaculate Grid. I just gave you about 10 different teams that he played for. But yeah, Vince Carter, one of the best players of all time. I'll say he's definitely ranked up there in the top, in my opinion, top 100. Probably can put him up there in the top 75 as well, even without a ring. Just such a great player all around.
And just have a 20-year career. How many guys have touched 20 years in the NBA? How many guys just 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 5, 6, 7 guys that have gotten that in their careers? And like you said, being able to mold his game to fit the new NBA with the spacing and things of that sort, having to rely on shots when his athleticism wasn't, obviously what it was in the 20s. He was one of the players that, honestly, by the end of his career, I kind of associated him with Atlanta a little bit. Obviously, I know, of course, his prime days was nowhere near Atlanta, but by the end of his career, it felt like he embraced Atlanta by the end of his career, and I kind of felt that. It felt a little weird.
And we embraced him.
Yeah.
And we embraced him. Like you said, he wanted to stay and continue to play. So I'm glad that I got to experience the Vince Carter experience, at least for a few years. Rajon Rondo, he recently announced his retirement. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter trying to, I think a little bit of nostalgia are clouding people's eyes. But as far as I saw people saying that he was better than Steve Nash and such, but that's neither here nor there. We can say that debate for another day. But Rajon Rondo definitely was the epitome of a true point guard, the last of a dying breed. We were pretty blessed to see, firstly, how he started his career. Him being a small little scrawny kid drafted to the Celtics, wasn't expected to do much playing time, but he earned the respect of veterans when he came in, of course, fitting so perfectly into his position and role with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett, that big three at the time, winning a ring. He, for being his size and the absolutely dazzling passes that he used to fit and take command of a team, or take control as the commander of a team. It's a great player, great point guard. That was a great era for point guard play with Derrick Rose, Steve Nash on his final few days, Darren Williams, of course. We got what's the man's name?
CP3.
Kyrie Irving was emerging around that time as well. A lot of great point guard play back then. Cannot complain. I will miss Rajon Rondo. He always had a job waiting for him, whether it was with the Mavericks, the Bulls, the Kings. Yes, he was a problematic player at times, but that's why he was always picked up still, because his production always spoke for itself. He won another ring with the Lakers, which was kind of weird considering he beat the Lakers with the Celtics to win his first title. That's neither here nor there, though. So, kudos to a good retirement for Rajon Rondo. I'm sure I will see him as a coach on a high level one day, because his IQ was off the charts. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, well, Bron said the only reason he probably isn't a coach already is because he doesn't want to. Like I said, in terms of IQ, basketball IQ, smartest players to play the game, he is absolutely up there. Just like I said, IQ off the charts. When it comes to knowing basketball, not a lot of people can match him when it comes to just knowing how to run an offense, especially. So, yeah, kudos to him. Hats off to a long career, 15-year career, and enjoy retirement.
Yep, got a few rings, got some good stats, got a lot of great highlights, good memories. So yeah, shouts to him. So now we can get into the real segments of the show. Going to the NFL before we transition back to the NBA. Stefon Diggs, superstar wide receiver, former Minnesota Viking, now former Buffalo Bill, has been traded to the Houston Texans for a second-round pick. Houston will also receive a 2024 6th-round pick and a 2025 5th-rounder as a part of the trade. So, and most recently, it was broken that the Texans have agreed to knock off a few years off of Stefon Diggs' contract. So he will pretty much be playing on a 1-year deal. He will be most likely be a free agent, pending some other contract negotiation. He'll be a free agent next year. So they have him pretty much on a 1-year rental for a second-round pick. I have been saying on the show to my friends outside of recorded messages or whatever, that if the Texans got themselves a veteran star receiver, it would open up so many more possibilities than they would have had with just this young crew that they have now with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. They went out and they got Joe Mixon at running back. I like that. I still was like, let's see if they can try to finagle their way a star wide receiver. I wouldn't mind seeing DeAndre Hopkins go back. I wouldn't mind seeing Devontae Adams. Instead, they went and smashed up Stefon Diggs. I wasn't expecting that. We knew that there was a little speculation that Stefon Diggs might have wanted out of Buffalo, but I didn't expect the Texans to be the ones to jump on that. I love this trade for Houston. They are 100% in on CJ Stroud while he is on this rookie deal. And that is what you're supposed to do with a rookie quarterback that has superstar potential, superstar written all over him. They went and got an established number one target for him to throw the ball to. And then, of course, let's not even get into the other acquisition that they made on the defensive side of the ball with Danielle Hunter, on the other side of Will Anderson Jr., who is another stud first-year player that they had last year.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, they also picked up Chidobe Awuzie as well. Hey, man, this Texans team is looking scary. I said that we're going to be seeing the Texans win the AFC, represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And as the days go by, what I'm saying is not crazy. It is a realistic.
It was never crazy. Yeah, it wasn't crazy to begin with, because they made it they pushed the Ravens for that first half. They just it didn't work out. But I mean, now that, like you said, you did say that they just needed one superstar vet, or not even superstar, just a solid vet presence receiver with top talent. And they went out and got Stefon Diggs, which is exactly what it is. We kind of speculated like Mike Evans for a bit, then he re-signed with Tampa, things of that sort. But yeah, adding Stefon Diggs and, like you said, knocking off the contract. That was one of the bigger things. I didn't see that part coming, but that was a great thing, because now you're getting a contract year player. And we all know about the contract years. If someone's playing for a contract, you're probably going to get the best version of them because they're trying to pay for some big money. So knocking off a couple years, not having that cap hit in future years, and getting the best version of Stefon Diggs for a year, that's huge. That's huge. And like to pair it alongside Tank Dell, who was on who was on pace for a really good season last year before he got hurt, and even had a good season before he got hurt. Nico Collins had 1,000 last year. Noah Brown, Dalton Schultz, they re-signed him. They have a good offensive line with Laramie Tunsil in the left tackle. Obviously, C.J. Stroud. I don't even need to mention much about him. Defensively, they got Derek Singletary. They got they went out and got Chidobe Awuzie. I mean, they're just looking. This is what you do. They're kind of, and D'Amico Ryans coming from the Shanahan tree. It kind of, I wonder how much of his experience with roster building, because him and Shanahan and Lynch are very close. John Lynch is the GM, but Shanahan was very close in personnel decisions. So I wonder how that influenced D'Amico Ryan, seeing how to build a roster and things of that sort. Obviously, their scouting department is really strong because they went out and got C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, things of that sort. But yeah, it's just gonna unlock the offense. Now you're gonna have to really pick your poison between Nico, Tank, and Stefon. We're gonna see, just being able to drop the knowledge that he had working with Josh Allen and things of that sort. Being able to do that, drop that knowledge on C.J. Stroud. I'm excited to see how their relationship develops, and who knows, it might end up keeping him after the year is over. I probably not, but who knows? They might decide that they end up keeping them. And I mean, even if you use them for 1 year, if you get a 1 year rental and you go out and win a ring, that's the best rental you could possibly get. So hopefully, this year the Texans should, barring hopefully no injuries, but barring injury, they should be one of the premier teams in the AFC.
This is a very great pickup for them because it fits their schedule. It fits their current like age of the team as well. Like I say, he's not crazy old. He's not getting paid some absurd amount of money. He's still in his early 30s, late 20s,
like 30, I think 30, 31, something like that.
He's very young still in wide receiver years. He has shown to be effective no matter what his surroundings were. Look, he had a back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 2018, 2019 with Case Keenum throwing him the ball. That's when we found out who Stefon Diggs, when he had Case Keenum throwing him the ball in Minnesota. Then he went to Buffalo and developed a great tandem and offensive duo with Josh Allen. But last year, you could see that they just weren't in touch like they had been in previous years. And now he's going to C.J. Stroud, who I believe this is going to it's a fresh start for Stefon Diggs. I think he's going to be motivated to play. I think he's going to be, especially with that contract money on the line, he's going to be motivated to play, be motivated to win. He's going to a team that is very young, very hungry, and has played well at a very early stage. Like, they turned their entire franchise around. You got a first-year quarterback, a first-year receiver, a first-year head coach, a first-year defensive rookie, that Will Anderson Jr., and they're all going crazy. You know what I'm saying? And now you're just adding on someone who just had a 100-catch campaign, a 1,000-yard campaign, alongside Nico Collins, who just had a 1,000-yard campaign. The abundance of firepower and it's like a vending machine for C.J. Stroud. What do I feel like eating today? You know what I'm saying? Who do I feel like what or in D'Amico Ryans and the play callers in general? Like Damian Pierce
Bobby
in the backfield.
Joe still got Bobby Slowick cooking up plays. Joe Mixon in the back. Right. Bobby Slowick is one of the premier offensive minds in the league.
Like, it's going to be a very scary sight for the AFC and the NFC, whoever they play against on the opposing conference during the regular season. That's going to be a very marquee matchup. It's going to be a measuring stick game for sure. I really like this trade. I'm very hyped for the Texans. We love D'Amico Ryans over here. We love C.J. Stroud over here. I am 100% on the bandwagon. I'm 100% on the hype train for the Texans to be the ones representing the AFC in next year's Super Bowl. And, the Falcons going to be in there too. Let's go ahead and bolster this defense, you know what I'm saying? But, and it's for another day as well. Now, on the other hand, of course, we can speak to all of the success and options that the Texans have. But now we're looking at the Bills, who are going to be looking mediocre as fuck next season. No more Stefon Diggs. No more Gabe Davis. No more Jordan Poyer. No more Tre'Davious White. Y'all have like the bottom 5 in salary cap in the entire league.
And they're eating
y'all just took like
million.
Yeah, they just took like a $30 million cap hit.
Dead cap. Yeah, they're eating $30 million in dead cap for the Stefon Diggs trade.
So now we've said it. We said it as soon as they lost that Chiefs game that their window was closed. Right? We said this even during the regular season that their window had been closed. They tried, and why does Sean McDermott still have a job? I don't know. But they tried to ride the wave of Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs. Take us home. That's what y'all really thought was going to happen. You really thought that was going to be good enough to get over a complete team like the Chiefs. You really thought that was going to be good enough to get over them 2 years ago. Then you really thought it was going to be good enough to get over them 4 years ago. Nothing has came out of it. Y'all had their chances. Whatever circumstances may have influenced it, I don't care. You had playoff rules changed for you. Nothing to come from it except for being broke and having no one for now Josh Allen to throw to. Now we're what the Bills are back to mediocrity. They are back in the perpetual state of purgatory that we have known them for in the early 2000s to like mid 2010s. They are trending back over there to that direction, and I'm not sure what's in store for their future. There's nobody else in free agency for you to get. Draft pick, you don't have it's not like you have you're not in position to make a very
low first
needle moving draft pick,
Yeah, they got low first rounders.
So you're gonna have to right, you're most likely not gonna be getting anybody, because you have holes on both sides of the ball, and you were just competing in the playoffs last year. Like, this is not how you were just competing in the divisionals. The way that the Bills have handled this playoff window, from that massive Von Miller contract to thinking Gabe Davis was the bona fide number 2, but then finding out that he isn't, and then not doing anything to kind of like change that factor, bringing someone else in, it's just very disappointing. I don't want to say I'm glad that this has happened, but I feel like they deserve this, because y'all had y'all's chance. Y'all had y'all's chance at a Super Bowl, and you threw it away.
Yeah, I mean, and the writing was kind of on the wall. It did seem like Diggs kind of wanted out after this season because of him, and like you said, him and Josh Allen just didn't seem to click like in previous years. But there was just it's kind of all of the stuff over the last couple of years has led up to this point. Who knows Josh Allen's future with the team, because he probably doesn't want to sit through a rebuild or something like that. I mean, I know he's on a relatively fresh contract, but probably doesn't want to sit through a whole rebuild. Who knows what'll happen with that? Like I said, Sean McDermott, is he on the hot seat? He should be, because of
he should have been.
Yeah, I was gonna say he probably should have been gone, but he should definitely be on the hot seat at bare minimum. But like you said, they got worse, and everybody else around you got better. AFC East, Jets got better. They're getting Aaron Rodgers back, and they added got a couple additions to the team. Dolphins, they got better. Like I said, everybody around them got better, and you got worse. Now you're just gonna be floating in the middle. I don't expect them to be terrible, because Josh Allen's able to lift you to a couple wins by himself. So I don't expect them to be like the worst team in the league, but you're just floating in that mediocre in the middle range. And it's like, what do you do from here? Are you going to either fully commit to the rebuild, or you're going to have to make some shake? Because like right now you have no direction. I can't even say they're going to, I can't even say that they're going to be loading up for something, or I have no idea. They have no direction at all. They're just going to kind of be floating around the AFC. Would be very lucky to make the 7th seed for the playoffs. I don't even see that happening. And they're just kind of floating in the AFC, and they have no direction whatsoever.
Nope, because now we got to also think about it too. The Jets got better this offseason. They have Aaron Rodgers coming back. Miami has playoff success aside, and Tua and this and that. The Dolphins were still a great team last year for the first about 13, 14 games.
They had a couple of injuries as well, and they're going to be getting those players back and things of that sort.
So you have now sunk to damn near the bottom, pending or except for the damn Patriots. That's your only bailout is the Patriots being there. The Bills, you're right, they have no direction because like you have losses on the defensive side, and you have your biggest loss, both of your receivers, number 1 and number 2, being gone offensively. Who are you gonna be passing to? Dalton Kincaid every down?
Yeah, they're probably going to be drafting a wide receiver, but they don't have an impact draft pick. You don't have a top 10 pick. You don't have a top 10, 15 pick. You have the number 28 pick. Or I'm sorry, number 26 pick, something like that. 26, 27.
You don't have the capital to trade up neither.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not now, like I said, there's just no what is the goal? What is the end goal? Are you fully committing to a rebuild? Are you gonna, try and tool the roster up, but you can't really because you got big cap hits? I just don't know what they're gonna do. I'm not mad at them for the Diggs trade, right? Because if there was frustration in the locker room, and then also they are saving themselves a little bit of cap down the road. So that is a good thing. They take the cap hit for this season, but they are freeing themselves from that cap for other years. So I'm not mad at them for the trade. And if the second round was the best, given the position that they're in, I'm not mad at it. But it's just now they just need to have a plan, right? Like what is, I don't mind the trade if you have a plan in mind, but if you have no plan, no direction, then the trade was for nothing. Like you might as well just run it back if you don't have a plan in mind for that trade. So I just, hopefully I don't know what the GM, his plan is, what McDermott, their plan is. If they can figure out a way to retool now that they got a bunch of cap hits coming off, more power to them. Maybe after this season, they'll have a lot more cap. After this season, they will have a lot more cap space. So maybe they'll be able to retool that way in free agency next year. I don't know. But for this upcoming season, no, don't expect anything from the Bills.
Go ahead and write them niggas off. They are not doing anything next season. We can go ahead and scratch that. I don't want to hear nothing about no Josh. I don't want to see no Josh Allen highlights. I don't want to see nothing about no Josh Allen winning MVP. No comeback. I don't want to hear none of that. Just go ahead and just erase Buffalo from all prime time games while we still got all this time. Scratch them niggas off of the potentials. I don't want to see these people on Sunday Night Football. I don't want to see none of that. Let's not even mention their biggest loss. DeMar Hamlin isn't going to be there anymore.
Hey, that's who Josh Allen finna throw. That's who he's probably finna throw to since Stefon Diggs leaving. I don't know who they got in that receiver room, bro. They got me and you out there. But I don't know, man. Like I said, this season is just kind of a wash of a season. Even prior to the Diggs trade, but now
I ripped out my Ethernet cable again, bro.
Even prior to the Diggs trade, this just you kind of saw how it was going to stack up because, like we said, when they lost in the playoffs, where do you go from here? What do you do to really change the team? And I mean, like I said, I hope this was a move to prepare themselves for the future and not just a desperation move. And if they are able to, maybe they'll be able to contend in 2-3 years. Maybe they'll be back in that position if they're draft well and free agency and things of that stuff. But as for the upcoming season, it's cooked. And the Texans, They kind of swap. Well, not swap because the Texans were still competing last year, but they did. The Texans got much better. This was a win now move, and it should be. These are the type of moves you have to make when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Yeah. Now, with the riches do come some type of spoils. You know, CJ Stroud, the pressure is up times 10 this year. You know, you set the bar high. You set the standard high, not just for the fans, but for your teammates, for your coaches, for the ownership, for the front office. The standards are set high for not just another playoff appearance, but multiple, not just a playoff win, but championship appearances, AFC title game. The Super Bowl is I'm sure that is somewhere on their locker room already during this offseason is Super Bowl 2025. I know it has to be because look, Stefon Diggs isn't like one of these young guys, you know. He's established. He's still a top 10, I'll say, top 10, top 12 receiver in the league right now. He's not going to be able to tolerate misthrown balls, overthrown balls, not getting the ball, you know, and I think that's going to add a little bit of pressure to CJ Stroud because, man, like dead serious, like it's like a vending machine. Like I said, you have Joe Mixon who they're going to want to get involved. You got Dameon Pierce that you're going to have to get involved. Nico Collins just came off of a 1,200-yard season. Why he's going to be staking his claim as, oh, I should still be the number one. Tank Dell just had a great rookie year before he broke his leg. He's going to be slided down to the number 3 receiver option, but he's just had a great year as well. And of course, Stefon Diggs, he's going to want the ball in his hands as well because he wants to still show I'm a playmaker. Pay me my money next season, you know? So it's going to be a lot of options, and it can be a good or a bad thing for CJ Stroud and the Texans. I am very curious to see how they're going to structure this offense. I'm going to be very curious to see which players are willing to take a sacrifice. Every team game is about sacrifice, especially if you're trying to compete for the Lombardi Trophy. Sacrifices are going to have to be made. Which one of those offensive stars are going to be able to take that sacrifice on their stats, on their potential earnings, on incentives, however that may be, because it's only one ball being thrown. Everybody can't finish with, you know what I'm saying, 400 yards, you know what I'm saying?
Nico Collins is contract year too. Now you got 2 receivers on a contract year. It's really gonna be on Tank Dell. Tank Dell is probably gonna he's gonna have to be the guy to take a step back.
Because I can see both of those guys. I can see Stefon and Nico finishing with 1,000 both.
Absolutely, like minimum.
Minimum.
It's gonna be Tank Dell is probably gonna have to take a step back. And rightfully, I mean I don't know, you know, nothing's given in this league. Assuming both of those guys, I mean, we know how Stefon did, who he is, and assuming he's gonna work how we know he can work. Nico Collins is his contract year. He's probably going to be working extra hard to prove himself to get a bigger contract. So Tank Dell going into his second season, you know, you get a reduced role, but you get to learn behind one of the best receivers in the game. So assuming he can put his pride to the side a little bit, take that wide receiver 3 role. Like we know how good you are of a player, your potential as a player. You sit behind Stefon Diggs this year. Who knows? Maybe Nico and Stefon leave in free agency, and now you're thrust into that number 1 role. So, you know, I think this is an important year for his development to just kind of bide, you know, put your pride to the side a little bit, accept that wide receiver 3 role that he's probably going to get. And, you know, from there, just learn, work on your craft, learn. And like I said, who knows? Maybe the year after this one, he's the wide receiver 1. We don't know. But this is an important season for them to, you know, when you're trying to contend for a championship, somebody is going to miss out. When you have a loaded roster, somebody is going to have to make a sacrifice. And I think it's important that he's probably going to end up being the one that does.
And man, but I am so excited for this Texans team. I'm excited just for next year in general.
Absolutely.
Like,
we said a lot of
man, this is one of the most exciting and like league altering off seasons that we have seen in a very, 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 very long time. And of course, you know, the hype is there, and I think that we're going to see it be a very competitive year next year. Like, dog, I think, bro, one of my favorite parts of football is when it gets down to, before it was week 16 and week 17. This time it's gonna be week 17, week 18, where other teams are going to be watching their ops play, hoping that they win so they can get a higher seed or they can get into the playoff. I think it's going to be like that this year. It's going to be super competitive. Every game is going to matter, even more than it already does. In the NBA, if you have a bad month, you can still have very high hopes and of securing a high seed.
Especially if you like the East. Bucks just lost to the Grizzlies and the Wizards back to back, but they're still going to be in that second seed.
Right, like this, not in the NFL, and especially not this year. You got way too many contenders that are jockeying for position, and it's going to be very tough for a team to really break away and show that they're the best. I don't think we're going to see a team finish above or finish with less than 3 losses. I'm not even going to lie. I think it's going to be 3. It's going to be very difficult to surpass that. But I'm so excited. Great trade for the Texans. The Bills, I'm going to watch maybe 2 games of theirs just to see how badly they've fallen off. Then I'm going to turn that shit off. But, yeah, I'm excited, man. Great move for the Texans. I'm glad that front office, they listening. They listening to us, man. They heard what we were saying. All they needed was one. All they needed. They listening. Braun listening. The Texans listening. So, hear me roar, making noise. But yeah, that's the NFL. Also, too, quick update. It has been confirmed that Rashee Rice was the driver of the Lamborghini that was involved in that 6-car hit and run pile up involving himself and another vehicle that was under his name. So he's cooperating with the police. He's cooperating in their investigations. Let's hope that this can be settled in a civil manner with him being properly disciplined. Of course, nothing too extreme. I mean, he needs to learn his lesson. And I hope that the victims, nobody died. It was just minor injuries. However, man, look, I know how it is to be without a car. That shit sucks. You know what I'm saying? And for that shit to happen because of some really a rich athlete doing dumb shit, I know that sucks. So I hope that this has not halted their lives in any way or any severe way, even though I know it did. So they're still able to make money, still able to provide for their families. That's what I was thinking about for the last few days. Like, damn, I've been blessed to not get in a major accident. That shit will suck. That shit will suck. So if you have real responsibilities to take care of. But now moving on to the NBA. The playoff race is so tight and so close right now in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. Currently, the Nuggets are playing the Clippers. The Clippers are up by 2 points, 94-92, with less than 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I was watching that game before we went live. The Nuggets were up by like 17 points in the first quarter, and then the Clippers went on like a 13-0 run with their bench in the second quarter. That cut the lead. They ended up taking the lead. And it's just been a close game ever since. Nikola Jokic is just an absolute monster of a player. I still sometimes can't believe that he is the best player in the league right now. Like, you would not expect him to be, who he is, but that's what makes it so much more impressive, and that's why I enjoy watching him so much. He is such a smart and methodical yet dominant player. So yeah, the Nuggets, they're down 2 against the Clippers. Very important game for the Clippers. We'll get into them in just a second. But looking at the Eastern Conference, the Celtics, Boston Celtics, 60 wins, 16 losses. They have locked up the best record, not just in the East, but in the entire NBA. They will be having home court advantage if they make it to the finals. The Bucks are second seed, like you said. They lost to the Wizards and lost to the Grizzlies. Yet they're still on top. Doc Rivers, their play has significantly declined under Doc Rivers's leadership.
Color me shocked.
Yeah, shocked. I think the record was like 15-15. And so with him being there, so mid to mediocre is exactly how we can describe Doc Rivers' career post 2008 Big 3 championship. The Cavaliers also have been struggling. They're the 3rd seed with 46 wins, but this is where it gets interesting. From the 2nd seed all the way down to about the 5th seed. It's only about a game and a half to 2 games separating the Bucks, Cavs, Magic, and Knicks from the 2nd seed. What's really shocking to me that the Orlando Magic has a legitimate chance of getting the 3rd seed. The Orlando Magic, a team that has been so bad for so long, now are having one of a breakout success story in the NBA with Paolo Banchero leading the way, with Franz Wagner, with Cole Anthony. It's a great team, and they have a real chance of getting the 3rd seed. I'm very, very. It was one of the shockers of the season thus far. However, if you've watched them play, I've known y'all all seen the memes of the Orlando Magic theme song. Orlando Magic, hey, Orlando Magic. Oh, hey, it's lit. I can't wait to be hearing that during the playoffs. Hey, Orlando Magic are a fun team to watch, and they have a legitimate chance of getting a 3rd seed. The Cavs, like I said, they have been struggling. The Knicks, that's the biggest story of them being Julius Randle is out for the remainder of the season. He will be undergoing shoulder surgery after an injury sustained in January. And it sucks. I don't like the Knicks, right? I was so joyous when Trae Young became New York's biggest villain when we knocked them out of the 1st round in 2021. After all of this talk about the Knicks being so good and the Hawks don't stand a chance, and we got them up, MF is out of there. So I'm trying to keep a little bit more PG-13. We got them folks up on out of there in 5. So I don't like the Knicks. Never really liked them. I enjoy some of the Carmelo Anthony days, Linsanity, of course, but overall, the Knicks, anything New York, Knicks, Yankees, Mets, Nets, anything New York, keep them away. I don't like except for the Giants. The Giants were pretty cool for a little bit with Odell and Eli Manning with them the Super Bowl win. And that was only because they beat the Patriots, which I hated even more. So hey man, I'm not a big New York
my enemy.
Yeah, so literally. But yeah, Julius Randle, he's out for the remainder of the season, and it just sucks. I can't lie, because they were a really good team. I like watching Jalen Brunson play. When they acquired OG Anunoby before the trade deadline, they ended up going on like a 15-2 on a 15-2 record before Julius Randle got hurt. That their month in January was superb basketball for them. And just for him to be rehabbing that shoulder and thinking that they're making progress and he'll be able to come back and just in time for a playoff run, and to get this news, it's heartbreaking for New York Knicks fans, and it sucks because for Julius Randle too, we know he doesn't like missing games. We know that just seeing the potential of something and having it being ripped away from something you can't control is one of the worst feelings ever. It sucks so much. I feel for him. I'm not even the biggest Julius Randle fan, but I feel for him from the fact that the Knicks were looking nice. And there was a lot of discussion being made on how far can the Knicks go. This is the best the Knicks looked in years.
Yeah, they were my sleeper team, man. They were. I mean, obviously they weren't, 1 seed or anything like that at that point. They didn't look like the best team in the league, but they looked like they could have, be a serious problem, especially in a conference like the East. It's just a tough injury. I will say I've seen Knicks fans on Twitter come at Jaime Jaquez because the injury happened when he took a charge on Julius Randle. I've seen Knicks fans come at Jaime. First off, that's a basketball play, bro. It's not. That's just a regular basketball play,
right.
And it was unfortunate that it happened. But injuries do happen. That's not. It was no ill intent from Jaime. He was just taking a charge. It didn't matter what the score of the game was. That's just. It was basketball. They were trying to come back, and he took a charge. He thought that was the best play, and Julius Randle ended up getting hurt. It's unfortunate. But it was no ill intent there. So that's one thing I did want to call out any Knicks fans that think that there was bad intentions there. It wasn't. Josh Hart, ended up tweaking Jimmy Butler's ankle last year, which is what, kind of dampened that crazy run that he had. He was averaging like 37 before that injury. So, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad intentions. Things just happened. So I did want to call that out. But other than that, yeah, that team looked, OG missed some time from injury.
Yeah, he still is out. He didn't play tonight
exactly.
against the Kings.
So it's really unfortunate because it did look like this was going to be a very promising year. Jalen Brunson has been playing out of his mind. Should be all NBA this year on his at least third team. And it's just really unfortunate because the team, Mitchell Robinson missed a lot of time. They've been plagued by injuries this year, and
they've been floating though. They've been floating.
Yeah, they've still been hanging around. I mean, they're in the East, so it's a little bit easier. But I mean, they would still be a playoff team in the West.
They're still half a game back from third.
So they're right there, and it's like, I don't know what they will be doing in the playoffs without Brunson and with Mitchell Robinson, and if he gets hurt, or just a whole lot of injury question marks. But hopefully they're able to overcome that injury. But it's a big hit. It's a big hit. Him and Brunson's pick and roll was very integral to the team, and then his ability to shoot as well. Him being a semi-consistent shooter, and his ability to drive and all things of that sort, he brought a lot to the team. Especially as a second option. And I think it's going to be a very big hit for them. And hopefully they're able to somewhat recover from it.
And I think that one of his biggest impacts is how he was able to draw doubles. Drawing a double and kicking out because the man is averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds. Yeah, with him, they play a physical brand of basketball. They play a physical brand of basketball on both sides, including conditioning and being able to play an entire game. Sometimes it's a very physically demanding style of basketball, and it's physical on other teams. So when Julius Randle is in the post, and with his ability to score down low, high post, a very reliable scorer in the post, you're going to have to double him. And when you double him and kick it out to an open Josh Hart or an open Jalen Brunson or an open Dante DiVincenzo or an open OG Anunoby, you know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely a very scary sight for opposing defenses because it can just be a lot to handle at any given time. And the fact that, like you said, OG has been out.
He's a solid playmaker as well.
He's only played about 17 games. Yeah, he's only played about 17 games since him getting traded to the Knicks from the Raptors on New Year's. So a lot of injuries, people playing through injuries, and right now they're the 5th seed, so they don't have home court advantage. They they still got a game on the Pacers, who are the 6th seed right now. They're going to be continuing to fight until the very end to try to get home court advantage, to try to put themselves in the best position possible to make a run in the playoffs. It's going to be tough. Jalen Brunson has just been absolutely fantastic this season. Definitely all NBA. One of the best players, especially for his size. However, he can't do everything that Julius Randle was able to do. He's not going to be able to carry this team on his back through the playoffs. Not at this size, not with the competition that he's going to be facing in the Eastern Conference. So I think that we might be having a call wraps on the next season as far as their potential at making a deep playoff run. I think that they can still compete and get to that 3rd seed if things go their way to continue to win, and the Cavs falter, the Magic falter and fall off and lose a couple of games. That will be the happy path. However, I think that it's just going to be a dogfight to the end and into the playoffs for the Knicks. The Julius Randle is scheduled to be out for like 5 months, so he's not. He's going to be back in time for next season. That's something for the Knicks fans to look forward to. I mean, shit, I don't know, but it's bad.
There's not much consolation.
I'm trying to help New York fans feel as good as I can possibly fathom.
Yeah. It's just like you said, it's just unfortunate. Injuries in anything is unfortunate. It's just you hope that or you look forward to seeing what they can do, what adjustments they can make without him. But like you said, it's just tough, especially this season. There's so much parity in the league, and there's so many good teams to have to get through. It's tough, man. It's tough.
It is. So yeah, that's the Eastern Conference. While it might not be heavy as far as star power, it's going to be pretty competitive within its own conference. The Pacers are the 6th seed. They have fallen off as when I say fallen off, I'm really talking about Tyrese Halliburton's play and their play as a whole. They have fallen off from where they were previous to the All-Star break. The Heat, they just lost to the Sixers tonight. In a very close and enthralling game. The Sixers just got Embiid back. We'll be talking about him in a second. They are the 8th seed. Losing Embiid and just falling all the way down to the 8th seed sucks. However, they're still in there. Like I said, we'll get to them in a second. The Bulls are the 9th seed, and my Hawks are the 10th, which is just it's sad to say that we are in a world where, and I know it's been like this for a few seasons, but I'm still not used to it, where we're saying, oh, let's look out for these 9th and 10th seeds. They can for real make some noise, or they can for real have a chance of making the playoffs. The 9th and 10th seed. My Hawks do not deserve to be in the playoffs. Straight up. My Bulls, or not my Bulls, the Bulls don't belong to be in the playoffs. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs. So I know the playing tournament is super exciting basketball. I have enjoyed it, and I will continue to enjoy it. However, we do. It's still weird to kind of fully grasp that the fact that we can be in April, 7 games away from the playoffs, talking about the damn 10th seed, especially in the West. We just had the Warriors play the Rockets, and it was a musty game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, in the East is one thing. In the West, the 10th seed and 9th and 10th seeds might actually make some noise between the Lakers and the Warriors, and like that's, I mean, if you're the Pelicans or the Kings, one of you is gonna have to play one of those two teams, and that's not gonna be easy, right? You can't really ever count out LeBron. And then the Warriors,
maybe with the Kings,
really. What is that?
Now, maybe with the Kings, the Pelicans skunking either of those teams. I ain't gonna hold you.
I mean, anything. Well, that's the thing about the play-in is that it's a one game. Anything can happen in one game. That's the only that. I mean, you expect
playing.
Yeah, you expect them to win, of course, but anything can happen when it comes down to a single elimination game. So it's the Kings. The Kings do need to watch out for sure. Especially, I mean, we saw what the Warriors did last year. And and it's just so tough with the West being such a dogfight. To think that the Rockets can finish above 500 and be an 11th seed is insane. That is crazy, especially considering the East. Yeah. The Hawks are 36 and 41 and are going to be the 10th seed. So it's just the West is so tough this year. Hopefully, I expect the Rockets to get better. I expect the Rockets to probably bare minimum be a play-in team next year, but they're probably going to get better. And it's just a matter of, the West is just such a dog fight. Like, I don't know if I've seen a West this competitive in my life, or any conference that's just this competitive, or the difference between.
Whoa, hold up, whoa. Let's not.
What conference?
Hold up, 2010.
Oh,
2010 Western Conference, where the 8th seed finished with like 50 wins.
Yeah, but you look at who came out of that. I'm not gonna say who came out of that because they went on a legendary run, but it's definitely. I mean, like we said, we're talking about the 9th and 10th seeds, despite their market size. We all know Lakers and Warriors are going to be in a new cycle regardless. Despite their market size, these are two teams that legitimately could, be a problem for certain teams in the playoff, depending on how the matchups go and things of that sort. So it's really we're not going to know until we see.
It's going to be competitive. It'll be competitive. Like I said, the playing turn definitely throws stuff off. But man, 2010 was literally probably the most like insane thing I've ever seen, especially with that being like that was like prime basketball too. When the Lakers, the AFC or the first to AFC 57, 55, 54, 53, 53, 50, 50, and 50 wins. 1 through 8 finishing with at least 50 wins is goddamn insanity. But like I said, with the play-in tournament, it literally just throws everything off because, just 4 or 5 years ago, you're the 7th seed. We are good here. And when I say we're good, we're in the playoffs. AFC, we're in the playoffs. Now we're talking about we have to goddamn win a game just to keep our spot. So it definitely throws everything in for a loop, and I definitely enjoy it. I like competition. I like competition. And speaking of competition, the Clippers have now won 4 of their last 5. They just beat the Nuggets by 2 points. Nikola Jokic shot up a possible game-winning 3 that went off the side, and it ended the game for a loss for the Nuggets. Someone said that if Anthony Davis was guarding Jokic, he would have hit it, and I'm not surprised. I wouldn't put it past him.
He would have hit it.
Yeah, he would have hit it if the AD was in his face. But yeah, the Western Conference is even more tough, even more of a juggernaut. The Timberwolves are still number 1 seed. With the Nuggets losing, they were tied with the Nuggets for the first seed. But now with the Nuggets losing, they're going to get half a game over them. The Thunder are 52-24 in the 3rd seed. Clippers are now 48-28 in the 4th seed. Mavericks been playing probably some of the best basketball of their year, 46-30 as the 5th seed. Suns are the 6th seed. They've also been playing inconsistent at times, but they've been winning. The Pelicans in the 7th seed, Kings in the 8th seed, Lakers and the Warriors are in the 9th and 10th seed respectively. Again, this is another year where we're talking about LeBron or Stephen Curry fighting to just get into the playoffs, and I hate it. I hate it so much because I enjoy watching these 2 players in the postseason. We don't got too many opportunities for this. Let's be real. We don't have too many more chances to see these 2 players in the postseason. I hate that they have to, or that their teams and whether it's coaching, injuries, the way the teams are built, wherever the case may be. I hate that they are, it seems like constantly having to be in this play-in situation. But I want to circle back to the Clippers. The Lakers and the Warriors, they're relevant right now. We talk about them enough. The Clippers, they won tonight and won 4 of the last 5. However, I will say that I think that the knob curse might have, struck them down a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. If y'all remember, probably about 5, 6 episodes ago, maybe. Man, we were talking about the he said the Clippers are his championship favorites. Or it's either he said his championship favorites or his dark horse. It's either one of those. One of those.
Dark horse. It was dark horse.
Right.
They were not the favorites.
It's one of those. No, yeah, you said the Timberwolves were your favorites and the Clippers were your dark horse. That's what it was. Ever since then, the Clippers have just been constantly falling down below expectations of the super team that we expected them to be, especially the play of James Harden. Yes, injuries have been a noticeable standpoint. However, look, James Harden has played in the majority of these games, and he just had 2 back-to-back single scoring games where he scored 6 points, 1 in a win over the Hornets, 1 in a loss to the Kings. When have we ever seen James Harden score single-digit points in the game? His shooting averages are down. His scoring averages, even since them going having that very dominant November to February start, they haven't been playing so. They've been breaking. They're now above. They're about 14-13 during that time span. Since February 7th, Harden is averaging 15.5 points while shooting just 40% overall and 33.7% from 3-point range. The Clippers cannot afford to have James Harden score so low in the playoffs. And I say that not to say James Harden is going to have to rewind the clock and go back to his Houston days where he is putting up 30, 40, 50 points. No, nobody's saying that. However, single point scoring from a player who was in the starting lineup, a player with the talent and ability and savviness and experience as James Harden, a player who wants to win a championship, it seems, a player who was brought in to elevate the offense, not just as a playmaker, but as a scorer when need be. He cannot have these shooting slumps. He cannot play at the standard that he has been playing to for the past few months. And he did have a better game tonight. He did against the Nuggets. I'm trying to pull up his stats right now. 20 points, 6 for 23 shooting, but it was an ugly game. It was necessary, though. So we're going to have some of those games where you're going to have to just get it out the mud. 20 points. You got the win over the Nuggets, who are a very good team. Say again?
6 of 23 is wild. 20 points of 23 shots is kind of crazy. Didn't play. Yeah, it was 6 to 23.
Kawhi didn't play tonight, so he did his thing, get into the line and such. But yeah, the Clippers are not going to be able to afford to have that. They've been falling off defensively. I think they're right near the bottom in efficiency since the All-Star break. I don't know what you do to these teams, but anytime Nobe roots for one.
I'm putting in my pick right now. The Celtics are winning the championship. Hopefully the Nobe curse can affect them because I don't want them to win. But yeah, I don't know. They've had one of the stranger arcs of a season seasons that I've ever seen, because they had it like before when they got Harden. It took them a while to gel it together. It took them a couple of games. They gel it together. They win a crazy number of games. They win. They had like a 20-5 over 25 games, something like that, right before the All-Star break. And then they come out and it's just, they look like a different team. Like I really don't know what the difference was. If it is James Harden, simply his play has negatively, is that much of a detriment to the team. If he's like not playing well, if it's that much of a detriment. But I really, like, they've had such a strange season when it comes to how they gel, how they fit, and their identity. It's like they found it and then they lost it. I don't know. It's not good for them to have this kind of negative momentum going into the playoffs. This was a good win tonight, but it's not good for them to have negative momentum. I mean, we talked about, what do we say about the Eagles in the NFL? The Eagles going into the playoffs were just, it was like this. And when you're going into the playoffs on a downward trajectory, that's not really the time when you're able to turn that around. Most of the time, you're just going to keep falling on that trajectory. So they've got a couple games left to really figure this shit out. And, you don't want to enter the playoffs on a spiral. You have to go into the playoffs knowing your identity as a team, because if you don't, a team that does know their identity, which who they would be playing right now would be the, who would they be playing right now? Right now, they would be playing the, they would be playing the Mavericks. They know their identity. The Mavericks know who they are. They know Luka knows who he is. Kyrie knows who he is. They know what they're going to do as a team. So going into them not knowing who you are, that's not going to cut it in the playoffs. So they've got to figure it out very quickly.
Yeah, it's. I think for James Harden's struggles, it also had to do with the referees. Like, this also goes back to what we were saying about the Knicks and their physical brand of basketball. After all this talk about, hey man, this scoring is out of control, and man, the rampant amounts of offense that we're seeing might need to be tuned back down a little bit. Looks like they've been doing so, man. The referees haven't been calling some of the same BS fouls that they have been. I like to change some ways. Sometimes I don't, because Stephen Curry still doesn't get nearly half as many calls as he should.
He gets hacked.
But Harden, his last 12 games, he's only averaging like 2.9 free throws per game when he's averaged 8.3 for his entire career. That's how much of a drop off. That's how much of a change in just how Harden is being played and how the game is being called is affecting his offensive output. Perhaps we need to tone, saying maybe it happened again. We were gassing up the Clippers, and the Clippers, in typical Clipper fashion, teeter off and do what they do best, which is fade into disappointment, like they do every playoffs. I don't. It's just what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I think that it's definitely going to be on the backs of Harden, and I'll say
PG,
the whole team defensively, right?
Yeah, that as well. But I think offensively,
Like this team,
they rely on Harden's playmaking as through his scoring, almost like his scoring kind of unlocks his playmaking. We've seen that throughout his career. He can play make without it, but I think when he's going, it just makes it that much worse on teams because now you have to choose. But it's definitely like Zubac. I think he's really solidified into his role. He's going to get you. He got 15 rebounds tonight, 14 points, 15 rebounds. That's all you can really ask for out of Zubac on a given night. Paul George had 28 tonight. Like you said, if they're going to be without Kawhi, he's going to have to step up offensively. Russell Westbrook off the bench had 12 points on a +8, +- 12.6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 stocks on a +8, +- in 23 minutes. That's really good. They're going to need sparks like that off the bench for sure. But it's kind of coming down to how Harden can do, honestly. As he's the X factor, I'll say.
Yeah, he is. And we don't need to see another Sixers versus Celtics last year in the playoffs version of him where he will go crazy, hitting game winners, 40 points and such. The next game dropping only 12 and looking fat and slow and just embarrassing to be called the second star on the team. I'm not trying to be too hard on Harden. However, with the way that he has handled his career, yes, this pressure is on you. This pressure is on you. This pressure is on the entire Clipper team because where do we go from here as well? We're like the Clippers and the Buffalo Bills are very similar in just how their championship windows are being handled. The Bills, they're completely done. For the Clippers, you have had plenty of time. Like I said, circumstance aside, I know injuries, but y'all also choked 3-1 leads, right? Y'all also lost to Luka in the playoffs. Y'all also lost to Jokic in the playoffs. Now we're at the point where Kawhi is locked up for the foreseeable future, but Paul George isn't, right? Harden isn't. So they have to be looking at this year as it's a championship or bust. I mean, shit, you got all these literal MVPs, NBA champion. NBA champions on your team. This is championship or bust.
They're kind of like the Bills of the NBA right now. Right? Like
that's
when
what
we
I
look
said.
at it,
Yeah, I
like,
just compared it to
yeah, my fault. But they're when you look at it, what do you do from here if they don't win? If you flail in the playoffs, what do you do from here? Like where do you go? Like you said, PG is on an expiring contract. Harden isn't locked up for the future. What do you do? I mean, obviously, this draft isn't exactly a draft. One of the stronger drafts is a relatively weak draft coming up. I don't know what do you do if this team flails in the playoffs because they're just not, they don't have much. You're going to run it back with the same squad that hasn't gotten it done over the last couple years. They're literally the exact same position that like we said, the Bills are. It's just not. You really have no other option but to win this year because if you don't, there's not much direction for you.
Not at all. Now going back to the Eastern Conference, the Philadelphia 76ers, after going 11-18 without Joel Embiid, after going from 5th in the Eastern Conference all the way down to 8th, Joel Embiid, the reigning MVP, one of the premier players in the league, one of the best big men, or shit, probably one or two right behind Jokic as the best big man in the league, one of the best scorers, all around players in the league, is back playing for the 76ers. He came back against the Thunder earlier this week where they got a win over Chet Holmgren and Shy and SGA and crew. Then they just beat the Jimmy Butler-led Heat last night, and they are trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. So, number one, I'm glad that Joel Embiid is back. Injuries suck. I have not suffered a serious one. I haven't suffered a serious one. I've had nagging stuff, which has made training difficult at times. I haven't had nothing serious, nor do I participate in a grueling sport as far as the frequency and the physicality and games that you're playing. I fight 4 times a year. These players play 3 times, 4 times in a week sometimes. So I'm glad to see Joel Embiid back after that win against the Thunder. He said that this injury, coming back from this injury, was particularly tough. He said that he felt depressed, and I understand 100%. Like, dude, buddy's 30. Joel Embiid is 30 years old, right? He was drafted in 2014, or 2014.
Yeah.
He missed his entire first year to a foot injury. Then he missed a lot of the next season as well. He has dealt with injuries for most of his career coming out of Kansas. And it's like, you have seen what your success can pay off being. Winning an MVP when you're healthy, when you're on the court, and even then you're still playing through injuries. It's just one of those cases where sometimes the game is just so physical on your body. And then once you start getting older, that physical pain turns into mental and emotional pain. And that's the worst. That is the absolute worst. So I hope to see Joel Embiid finish this year off healthy. I hope to see him do as best as he can alongside with Tyrese Maxey and the rest of the team, do their absolute best to continue climbing up the standings. They have a chance at getting the 6th seed still and making a playoff push. They still are a dangerous team when you have the MVP playing for your squad, and then you still got Tyrese Maxey, who is absolutely at his best, playing alongside Joel Embiid. But their playoff hopes still live on. I'm glad to see him back on the court. As it stands currently, they'll be playing Indiana in the play-in tournament. That is a very compelling matchup, especially with the winner probably going to go on to play the Bucks. Woo! That's going to be super fun to watch. A lot of storylines as far as that concerned, whether it would be Joel Embiid and the Sixers playing against Doc Rivers, or Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers playing against the Bucks with that whole stolen game ball thing with Giannis as he dropped that 60 piece on him. That dumb shit. Oh my goodness. But yeah, there's a lot of storylines to be made there. But yeah, the Sixers playoff hopes still live on. I'm just glad to see Joel Embiid back on the court. I want every star to be healthy going into the playoffs. I say this every year. We say it for the NFL. We say it for the NBA. That's what we need.
Absolutely. I mean,
but no matter what, the Eastern Conference is going to be much wider. No matter
what. Yeah, injuries are. I mean, they're part of the game. You just hope that they can be, mitigated as much as possible. A lot. I mean, obviously, we've seen efforts in both leagues, or all leagues, really, to lessen the frequency of injuries. And it's healthy for the sport to see your stars in playoffs and things of that sort. Obviously, Joel Embiid has had his fair share of unfortunate timed injuries. Really, a lot of his is just the timing. You go into the playoffs, it's a little bit more physical, and some of those nagging injuries really start to flame up when you get into the playoffs. So we've seen last year he was out a couple games. Year before that, out a couple games. It's just always sort of the injury bug when it comes to the playoffs. So hopefully this year he had some time to miss. And like you said, it's so much different when you get an emotion or a mentally damaging injury, because it is hard to mentally lock in after that. And that's a huge aspect of basketball, your mental. That is among the sports, that's probably one of the, I'll say, other than maybe like baseball and fighting, mentally is one of the most important aspects of the game, because just being off mentally can affect your shot, and that being one of the premier things in basketball, that's it. That's you got to be locked in to hit some of the shots you need to be hitting. So hopefully he's able to fully recover, not just physically but mentally as well from this injury. And we can see the best version of him go up against, like you said, go up against Giannis, to see that matchup load, to see him going up against the Celtics, get a rematch of last year, things of that sort. So hopefully we can get the best version of Embiid, because when he plays, he's top 5, top 3 player in the league. I mean, he's seriously one of those guys that his impact on the court cannot be overstated. So, we want to see the best version of him in the playoffs.
Right. Absolutely cannot be overstated. Like I said, the 76ers went 11-18 without him. If that is not what symbolic of how much he means to the Sixers, nothing does, man. Going from the 5th to the 8th seed and having that much of a negative record. But hey, now with him coming back, and let's be real too, they got a good little time span of games to get some fluidity and get get their groove back. They play next. They play the Grizzlies tomorrow. They play the Spurs, the Pistons, the Magic, and the Nets. Hey, that is a good schedule for them to build some momentum. Man, absolutely. What? Hey, and also, hey, look, Embiid versus Wemby, Sunday, April 7th.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun to watch. We saw Jokic versus Wemby the 2 days ago or yesterday.
That was so good.
Yeah, I mean, Wemby. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I've ever been as scared, like literal fear, for the league as I've seen with Wemby. I mean, when he gets a competent team around him, I dead for real don't know what you do. I'm gonna be honest. Like when he gets a competent team around him, I am legitimately scared for the league, because he is on just a breakneck trajectory. As good, great rookie seasons we've seen all-time greats have, Jordan, Bron, everybody who's had legendary rookie seasons. I mean, he won. He practically locked up Rookie of the Year by All-Star break, and that's Chet is having one of the best rookie seasons of all time, and he's still behind Wemby. I honestly have I'm scared for when he gets a good team. But like I said, him going against Wemby, that's going to be an absolutely exciting matchup to watch. I'm excited to see that one. I expect Embiid to put a little bit of a work his little bit of vet magic on him. Last time they played, he dropped 70. Last time they played the Spurs, all 70 weren't on him, but last time they played, he dropped 70. So I expect, maybe I think Wemby has a little, he's got competitive fire in him. I expect him to step up to that challenge, but it's gonna be fun to watch.
I'm excited to watch that matchup as well. Like I said, that whoever right now, as it stands, of course, we still got time, and the Sixers can continue to climb up. Same thing with the Pacers, but it will be Pacers versus Sixers in a play-in, and the winner of which will be playing the Bucks. However, you stated earlier, you said it first, and then I said it following up. But the Bucks, they just lost to Washington. They gave them their 15th win. They just lost to Memphis, gave them their 26th win on the season. The Bucks looking nice and prime for a playoff upset, just like they looked last year. Just like last year. And of course, injury last year. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, we can always put into context injuries and such. But this year, y'all just have been looking dead ass mediocre to average at best with Doc Rivers as head coach. We're not going to put all of the blame on him per se. However, y'all just not looking like a championship team. Y'all not. The only championship team I see in the Eastern Conference right now is the Celtics. So, the fact that the Bucks are even still the second seed is because the Cavaliers have been butt crack awful as well. So the Bucks are just being saved by the skin of their teeth right now. if I am the Sixers or the Pacers, I'm looking forward to that matchup to the Bucks. I want to play the Bucks. I don't want to play the Celtics. I don't. The game between the 7th and the 8th seed in a play-in tournament, that's going to be big as far as matchups are concerned, because you don't want to match up against the Celtics in the first round. No. You want to play the Bucks, because the Bucks, you have the best chance at getting a legitimate chance at going on to the second round and continuing your playoff hopes. So that's going to be great to see. I can't wait. Like I said, for the Sixers, with the ease of schedule that they have coming up, man, this is their chance to really get back into the swing of things prior to Embiid's injury.
Yeah, the Bucks are just, and it's really, a lot of it is Dame. I'm a little surprised by his play this season. I expected his game to be a lot more open with Giannis on the court, and it's kind of gone the other way. I expected him to be a little bit more free, and he's kind of gotten a little bit more closed with his game. I don't know if it's because it's a LeBron Wade situation where he's trying to, make sure Giannis knows that he's the leader of the team, or what it is. But his shooting numbers is down, or his percentages are down. One of the worst shooting in his career, over his career. Obviously, you expected his points to take a hit because he's not the sole player. But just overall, in general, when you watch the game, he doesn't seem as aggressive as he has in past years. And I think he's gonna have to wake up some of that Dame time for the Bucks to be legitimate contenders. Because right now they're just on a spiral. They're literally just floating around in their number 2 seed, not playing bad enough to lose the 2 seed, but not playing good enough to show that they're really polished as a 2 seed. And they're just, like I said, just kind of floating around in that position that they're in. I think they only got a couple games left, like similar to the Clippers, only got a couple games left to figure this out. You only got a couple games left to really establish your identity as a team and who is going to be, how are you going to set yourself up in the playoffs? What are you going to do in the playoffs? How are you going to attack and things of that sort? So they've got a couple games to really figure this out, because right now, like you said, if I'm one of the teams, I want to play the Bucks. They're one of the teams I think I can beat. I don't want to play the Celtics. I think we can beat. I got a much better chance of beating you, knocking off the Bucks, than we do the Celtics. So they've got some stuff to figure out.
They do. Moving on to our final team to touch on during this mad playoff race. Y'all see me with the TI hat right now. Yes, sir. I'm going to finish it back to my regular scheduled programming. But Phoenix Suns, previous to the start of this season, when they went out and they got Bradley Beal, of course, what did everybody do? Over exaggerate it, get so hype about it. Start off the season where Bradley Beal couldn't even get on the court. And over the course of this season, their season has been defined by inconsistent play, varying on a night-to-night basis. What version of the Suns are we going to see? Number one, is everybody even going to be on the court at the same time? Number two, when they are on the court, whoever's on the court, how are they going to play with Frank Vogel as head coach? It's so odd, right? It's so odd because, let's say, over the past 10 days, they lost to the Spurs with no Wemby. They also lost to the Thunder without SGA. And these are games that you have to win. But then they went and Devin Booker just dropped nuts on the Pelicans like he always does in a win. And then they just beat the Cavaliers. So, like, this is literally what we're talking about. Up and down. The Suns are up and down in their play. How will this translate to the playoffs, where number one, you're fighting to stay out of the play-in? So number one, we can't even guarantee you being in the playoffs to begin with, because who knows what happens in a play-in? Just like you said, it's a one-game single elimination. If you win, you stay in the playoffs. If you lose, you go down and have to play another game. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of variability that can happen. Y'all got to stay out of it. And with a team with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal on the squad, it's like, why is this a thing? Why? It has its pros and it has its cons. Because like I said, you lost to the Spurs and you lost to the without Wemby, and you lost to the Thunder without SGA. But then you go on and beat the Pelicans, who yes, they
Beat
haven't been
Nuggets.
playing good as of late. Yeah, they beat the Nuggets. Then you just went on and beat the Cavs, who are a playoff team as well. It can show that you can bounce back from these games. However, you're playing different teams. You get to the playoffs, you're going to be going against one team, schemed. 7 games, you have to win 4 of those. You're not going to have the luxury of losing 2 and having to bounce back and win 2, or we're losing 1, losing 2, losing, then winning another. Like inconsistent play does not have any room in the playoffs, especially with a team of that caliber of talent.
Yeah, I think that's just, it's kind of been the story of some of these middle of the pack teams in both conferences is what is your identity and can you solidify who you are by playoff time? Because when you look at the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, the Thunder, these teams know who they are. They know what their plan of attack is. They know their strengths and weaknesses. When you look at things like the Clippers, the Suns, and then some of the Kings, Lakers, Warriors, and then in the East, the Bucks and things of that sort, they just don't seem to know who they are completely as a team. And like you said, when it comes playoff time, you can't afford to be dropping games. Every single game, every quarter, every possession matters in the playoffs. You have to be on your A game the whole time. And if you're going against, especially teams as good as the Mavericks, things of that sort, or the Clippers, whoever they end up playing, you have to have consistent play from your stars. I know KD is going to be solid. I know Debo's going to be solid. Bradley Beal has been up and down this season, especially. Nurkic is kind of his role. He knows his role well, but it's just a matter of having it gel together on the same nights. It always seems like if Book has a great game, then KD is kind of Bradley Beal's kind of If KD has a great game, Bradley Beal's kind of D Book's kind of They just never seem to all have it together on the same night, and that's not gonna work against teams like the Nuggets. Like the Nuggets are probably the best example because we know that they have probably the best chemistry of any team in the league. They know their identity better than any team. Jamal Murray and Jokic 2-man action, Aaron Gordon in the dunker spot, MPJ in the corner waiting on the 3, things of that sort. They know their identity the best of any team in the league. So going against them without knowing who you are and how you're going to consistently attack these teams offensively and defensively, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. The Celtics, if you made it to the finals, the Celtics, that's not going to work against them. It's you just have to find a way to fix your identity and make sure you get consistent play, because we've seen the highs, but we've also seen the lows, and the lows aren't going to cut it when it comes playoff time.
Not at all. So we're going to continue to see and talk about this super flexible East and Western Conference. The NBA is absolutely entertaining right now. We will be continuing to dive into the matchups and the seedings as they get closer and closer to playoff time. We got about 11 days left of the NBA season before we are in the play-in tournament and then subsequently the playoffs. Before we wrap up this episode, Ronda Rousey did an interview recently with Valeria Lipovetsky. It was on Tuesday. And, it was brought up in conversation her fight against Holly Holm at UFC 193, a fight in which Ronda Rousey lost in one of the biggest upsets in, combat sports history. Just to kind of set the scene, Ronda Rousey was just running rampant through the women's bantamweight division. She was the most dominant women champion of all time. Up to that point, she was just getting all of her opponents out of there. Her formula was clinch, take you down with a judo throw of some sort, and then submit you with her patented armbar. That was her formula. And she made her money. She was becoming a big movie star. She was getting compared to who said it? Joe Rogan was saying that she would give Floyd Mayweather a run for his money in boxing. She was just the hype around her was just ridiculous. I will never ever forget that era in the UFC and in MMA in general when Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey were the two biggest stars in the world and still are, to be honest, the biggest stars in MMA history. Like, it was ridiculous how impactful Ronda Rousey was. We fast forward to UFC 193. She's defending her belt against Holly Holm. We all expected Ronda Rousey to win. However, in the most shocking manner possible, it has been called the kick heard around the world. When Holly Holm threw that left head kick up top, clacked Ronda Rousey upside the head, knocked her out in order to claim women's bantamweight gold. It was such an immaculate upset. But, now that I set the scene for you and gave you some of the context behind why that was such a monumental victory and crazy upset, in that interview with Valery Lipovetsky, Ronda Rousey said that she was compromised by a brain injury that she suffered going to the fight. And as a result, she said she was out on her feet for the entire fight. This was the exact quote. My mouth guard was bad, Ronda Rousey said. I literally came into that fight concussed from slipping down some stairs already after all of these years of concussions. Then I had an absolutely terrible weight cut, which means you have less fluid in your brain to protect it. I was just trying to make it look like I wasn't hurt, but I wasn't there cognitively. I couldn't think as fast. I couldn't judge distance. And just from that one fight, everybody felt like, oh, she's a fraud. Here's how I stand. Here's where I stand with that. Number one, we understand how brutal training for a fight is, right? I'm not even sure the amount of small concussions I have probably with like accumulated just from training. I got kicked in the head pretty hard. I've gotten punched in the head pretty hard. You know what I'm saying? It's just physical training for a fight, especially when you're on a pro level like Ronda Rousey was. But she never took that loss to Holly Holm in a respectable manner to begin with. She was always making excuses. She ducked the media for months. She went off the radar. She didn't address it not once after that happened. And then when she came back and fought, the transition of champions went from Holm beating Rousey to Miesha Tate being Holm to Amanda Nunes beating Miesha Tate, and then Amanda Nunes beating Ronda Rousey. But that was then the next time we heard from Ronda Rousey or saw her in a cage was when she fought Amanda Nunes. She went off the grid. She took that loss horribly. And it has always been a mar on her career. Also because the way that she fought in that fight, it was just she got outclassed. She went up against a premier boxer in Holly Holm, a Golden Gloves champ Holly Holm, who she beat the brakes off of her. Ronda Rousey was trying to clinch, and every time she would, if Holly Holm would stick her with a hard jab to keep her away. She got taken down once. Ronda Rousey went for a submission rather than getting position. Holly Holm got right back up and began her work with her hands again and finished it off with that nice head kick up top in the second round. So I don't want to hear that bullshit about I was concussed going into the fight, and that's why I wasn't able to perform to the best of my ability. So effing what? You didn't make that excuse right after you lost. You didn't make that excuse in a respectable manner or in an interview after you lost. You want to bring this shit up years later? Keep it. We're almost on UFC 300. We're talking about something from UFC 193.
Yeah, man.
Really?
It's kind of plagued her career since that fight. Just a lack of accountability. She has been a sore loser since that fight, and I mean, she's where she is now because of it. Just a lack of accountability. Like, you got your ass beat, bro. It happens. You lost. You can't win them all. You don't win them all. But just the lack to blame your mouth guard 9 years later, really? That's what we're discussing mouth guards about a fight 9 years later. It's just it's bad. It's sad to see because at her prime, she was one of the biggest draws in especially women's fighting at the time. I mean, I knew about her and I wasn't even in a fighting. I had no eyes on fighting at the time, and I still knew about her. She was one of the bigger draws, but she's just her entire career, whether it's WWE or UFC, she's lacked accountability and 9 years of like no personal maturity is kind of crazy. Over this past 9 years, you still can't get over the fact that you simply lost the fight and you're still bringing up excuses. Maybe I'm not even calling her a liar. Say you were concussed going into the fight. Why did you not make it known at the time? Right? I'm not obviously you don't have to say it going into the fight, but why did you not tell us immediately after? Why did you not say like things of that sort? It's just an extreme lack of accountability and self-introspection that you 9 years later are still complaining about outside factors in this fight rather than just giving Holly Holm her props and saying you got beat, bro.
Literally, because man, her striking was like horrible. Like it wasn't even like, oh, she's okay. Like, she can hold her own. No, her striking was fucking bad, and it got exposed by Holly Holm, right? And this is not to discount her legacy or her career because she is one of the most dominant women's champions of all time. But she did it at an age where women's MMA was still kind of like it was still taboo. It was an emerging market, right? Because we see how goddamn dominant the women's division is now. We see how highly competitive it is in the bantamweight, or what it was in the bantamweight division. And it's a juggernaut, and once Holly Holm came and showed that there was a clear discrepancy on the feet when it is not engaged in the clinch like Ronda Rousey was a specialist in. Of course, she was going to be able to take down these athletes who didn't have any clue on how to defend a hip toss. Of course, she was going to get to the ground and submit them using that armbar that she has perfected because the knowledge and training wasn't there at that time. But now we have an interesting matchup with Holly Holm, who fought a very, very, very great fight. A very strategic fight and a smart fight. The only thing that she didn't do that was smart was taking that fight with Miesha Tate instead of waiting for the rematch with Ronda Rousey, because that would have done so many numbers. But that's neither here nor there. And yeah, Ronda Rousey was just a sore loser. She lost once, then she lost again to Amanda Nunes, and she called it a career. She couldn't. The game was clearly it was passing her by, and she didn't want to compete anymore. Clearly, she didn't want to keep up. She went to the WWE. Am I faulting her for that? No, but the fact that you are making excuses, bringing these new revelations over a decade later is sad. We didn't need to know that. We don't care about the fact that you had a concussion going into the fight because this shit was 10 years ago. Like, win or loss, if you go into the fight with an injury, that should be disclosed right afterwards. And if you had a concussion from slipping down some damn stairs, I don't know about you, but one of my biggest fears is slipping in the shower or slipping downstairs. I don't want to ever do that shit. I get scared as fuck if I ever trip on the stairs. So if I get a concussion from that shit that early before a fight, hey, hey man, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then on top of that, a bad weight cut, like, make smarter business decisions for your career as well. But yeah, man, that is not. I don't want to hear that shit at all from her. I'm sorry.
Nobody does, man. It's
Not at
just
all.
it's not. Not what we're, like I said, just a lack of accountability, a lack of awareness, personal awareness, and just sore loser. You're a sore loser, man. Nobody's trying to hear that a decade later that you had a bad mouth guard or that you slipped down the stairs, bro. Like that's unfortunate, but we're so far past that, bro. Like it does nothing for us. It does nothing for us. And her WWE career hasn't exactly been transcendent either. It's not like Brock where she came into the WWE and was one of the all-time greats there. It's just maybe it's kind of plagued her ever since that loss. The lack of I think if she was, who's to say, but I think if she was able to look at that loss and grow from it rather than she just seems like she's stuck in the same place mentally that she was prior to the fight or in it and even immediately after. If she was able to grow from that fight mentally, who knows, maybe she would have beat Nunes, but she's living in the past. She's stuck in the past, and 9 years later, 10 years later, we don't care, bro. We don't care.
Not at all. Because yeah, like what's the excuse for losing to Amanda Nunes then?
You had a bad hair day.
What's the excuse for that
you
shit?
You woke up on the wrong side of the bed, like what?
Right? Like what the hell you want to say about that? like dead ass serious. Like it wasn't your night. That was the perfect time to go and reevaluate how your game is. That's like you can't win just off of clinching and or you finally met someone who wasn't going to make it an easy fight for you. And that's not to take away from any of her previous of her previous opponents like Kat Zagano and Misha Tate the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like those were all competitors. However, Holly Holm showed that she was a level above all. She was the best of you that night, and Amanda Nunes beat your ass too and sent you out the UFC. I just want to know the excuse for that, right? Learn how to take a loss. Learning how to take a loss, and low key, that's why I'm kind of glad I lost on an amateur level right now, because after being undefeated and being champion, I had like a mindset of, oh shit, this belt defines me. Like this belt is, I can't lose. I don't want to lose my in my record. I don't want to not be undefeated anymore. But when I lost a close fight, it made me go back and reevaluate what I needed to do better in my next fight. My mentality changed, and it's how I approach fights and how I conduct myself in the ring. And ever since then, my confidence has been sky high. No matter win or loss, no matter whatever, I know that I'm going to continue leveling up. I don't think she has ever experienced that in her life. And it showed, and it still shows because she's still talking about this damn loss 10 years later.
Don't be mad at us.
Like it's just
weird, man. It just I said can't say it. Can't say it enough, man. Like you said, bouncing back from adversity shows us who we are, and she never bounced back from that little bit of adversity that she had. You got a lot of people don't even get a second. You got this title rematch against Nunes, and you weren't able to bounce back and do anything with that. So what, like I said, what are we talking about? If you couldn't even step to her, and then you call it a career. It's just the way she's handled adversity, the way she's handled this fight, losing that fight. It's sad to see. It's sad to see because adversity, how we recover from adversity defines us, and she's been defined as kind of a sore loser.
Yep. Sore loser, too good for her own self. I don't like talking about people this way, but I also don't like sore losers. I don't like people who make excuses for their own performance in any given circumstance. Like I don't want to hear none of that shit at all. Whether you're an athlete or whether you're just my coworker in a normal environment, I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, if you're always late, like 15 plus minutes late to work, and it's holding me up now, I can't leave until you get here and you're always late. I don't care what circumstances are keeping you late because it's continuously happening and you're clearly not doing anything to change it, you know? So us as the fans, as the audience, as the people who watch that fight live as it happened, don't want to hear that shit. You're not finna. It was only 10 years ago. I remember what I was doing 10 years ago. We're not gonna try to rewrite this like it was 40 plus years ago, and we can kind of do revisionist history. No, I don't want to hear shit about no concussion. You got your ass beat by the better woman that night, and you could not recover from it mentally. Your ego couldn't recover from it. So I before I get pissed off even anymore, I'm just gonna end that right there because I'm finna fire up on her ass, man. I ain't gonna lie to you at all. But man, we can call that an episode right there. This is a good one. I enjoyed this episode. 404 day, like I said, shout out to all my people. Shout out to all my Atlanta folk. The 404, the 770, the 678. Not so much the 470, but we'll show y'all some love too. You know what I'm saying? All in Metro Atlanta shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those people that are super stuck up on like if you're from where you're not from Atlanta. Like, I don't want to come on, man. Like clear now. If you're from like Alpharetta or some shit, keep your ass over there. If you're from like North Gwinnett, keep your ass up there. Just like the Migos said, y'all north side. Y'all
Macon, bro. North side. I've heard some Macon people claim Atlanta, man.
Keep your country ass down in Macon, nigga. What the fuck, man? You ain't no damn Atlanta. Damn. So, but hey, you know what I'm saying? All my East Lake people, all my Clayton County people, all my Henry County people, all my DeKalb County, everybody. I'll even extend it slightly up to Cobb County. The Braves play up there, so I extend it up there. I give it to y'all up there.
County in it.
Yeah, get some Douglas County, Beaufort, of course. You know what I'm saying? I love all my Asians and Hispanics over there in Beaufort. Shout out to all y'all. Of course, the zones 1 through 6. You know what I'm saying? East side, west side, the city. You know what I'm saying? Downtown, the SWATs. We love all y'all. Bankhead. That's where I'm at right now. All the MLK streets, Peachtree Street. You know what I'm saying? We love all y'all. Hey, you know what I'm saying? We love the city. We love all my people out there. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta, like I said, is the best city that we could have possibly been raised in. Even from a sports perspective, yes, we might not have all these championships, but we got some entertaining squads that we were able to watch. I can't lie. I grew up on Mike Vick. I grew up with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. I grew up with Josh Smith and Joe Johnson, and now Trey Young. The Braves, of course, with Chipper Jones, and now Ronald Acuna. And back then, I'm not even going to say his name because I don't like him because he plays for the LA Dodgers. But Double F. We just so many good moments in sports history for the Hawks. For Atlanta. Shout out to the city, man. Happy 4-4 day. Anything you want to say, no, before we hold up on out of here?
No, man. I just repeat what you said, man. Even though I'm not, I'm not necessarily from here, but it's been an integral part of my life. I got love for the city, no matter what. So shout out to all my people. 404 that you see we repping Braves hat, Braves shirt. I love the Braves, and just excited for what this like WrestleMania. That's what I'm excited for. 2 days.
Boy, they over here talking about some damn it's just the possibility of what can happen is just it's making me anticipate it so much more. I'm hearing rumors of Stone Cold coming back and having one last confrontation with The Rock if he interferes with Roman Reigns versus Cody. I'm hearing stuff about John Cena too. I don't know what the hell is happening, but I'm so excited for it. Like it's just the possibilities. I know a lot of shit is blowing smoke, but I'm so excited for it, bro. I'm so excited. I can't lie.
Same here.
And we get 2 days. 2 days.
This is a great slate. It's a great slate. It should be a generational WrestleMania.
It is. It is. WrestleMania 40. It's being called the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Let's hope it's the greatest. With that, this is Hear Me Roar, episode 52. We talked about Stefon Diggs being traded to the Texans. We talked about basketball, the NBA seeding with Julius Randle being out for the year, how that will affect the Knicks postseason. Talked about talked about the Clippers having a little bit of struggle with James Harden's play. The Sixers with Joel Embiid coming back. The Suns having inconsistent up and down play, but somehow still holding on to that number 6 seed, and possibly still being a team that higher seeds don't want to play. We capped off this episode speaking on Ronda Rousey and the excuses that she continues to make for her loss against Holly Holm at UFC 193. As always, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Rate us on Spotify. Rate us on Apple Music. Give us some feedback. Follow us on our socials that are on the screen right now. My name is D. Tony Hope. That is Noble Lewis. We are Hear Me Roar. Happy 404 Day, and we are out of here.